Hey Queens, welcome back to my channel. Today is Tuesday, November 28th. Today is very, very gloomy, and so I wanted to make some comfort food to make myself feel better. And I went to my notebook and decided to make scrambled oats and a kale salad. But later I decided to also make pumpkin soup. So let's get started with the scrambled chocolate oats. I got this recipe from this young woman. She lives in Germany. Her name is Maya. Her YouTube channel is Fitgreenmind, all one word. And she made this recipe with yogurt, plant-based milk, cocoa powder, maple syrup, obviously oats, and she also added protein powder. I didn't add protein powder to my recipe because I was going to add yogurt at the end, and that's basically where I get my protein from. So here I'm just mixing all the ingredients. I added a little bit too much milk, so I put a little bit more oats, and then I brought it over to the stove. Because it's oatmeal and because it was breakfast, I didn't want to use butter and I didn't want to use olive oil to basically fry my oats. So what I did was I used a half a teaspoon of coconut oil, and as you can see, the oil was splattering everywhere. And I guess it's because maybe that the heat was too high or the pan was too hot when I added the ingredients. But because it has chocolate and because it has syrup, maple syrup, it quickly could have burnt. I mean, it looks like it's burning, but it didn't burn at all. It got a little toasty, but so I added everything to the pan and I let it sit there for a while. I covered it obviously to allow the oats to cook, and then once they cooked, as you'll see in a minute, they were nice and toasty. I usually visit Maya's channel when I'm lacking, imagination to cook. I mean, I can cook pretty much, the stuff that I've learned from my mom and growing up and things like that. I'm very creative, but sometimes I don't know what to cook. So today was one of those days, and I quickly went to her channel and I took some notes, and this is what I came up with. When she made it, it was a little bit more crumbly than mine, and it could be that because I didn't add the protein powder, maybe that's why it came a little bit more mashy. But nonetheless, it was delicious. I plated it. I didn't eat the whole thing. I only served myself half of the portion, and I used half a cup of oats. A little over half a cup. Here I'm adding some Greek yogurt because, and it's plain, by the way. It has no flavor. It's unflavored and it's unsweetened. I added, I want to say maybe a fourth of a medium-sized banana. And the reason why I'm only adding a little bit is because the portion is not that big and because there's a lot of sugar in banana. And like I said, I hadn't tasted the oats, so I went and I added a drizzle of maple syrup and a dash of cinnamon on top. And I couldn't wait to go in and taste it, and when I did, let me tell you, this will be on rotation for sure, especially during the winter months. It was so delicious. It was very, very yummy. But next time I'll be mindful of not adding so much syrup. So I did enjoy it though. The next thing that I wanted to prepare was some oven roasted veggies for the kale salad. I have been craving this salad for some time now. I had it a few weeks ago and I absolutely devoured the salad. And I wanted to recreate the salad because, this recipe. Because one, I feel like it was very healthy. The next day I didn't feel so heavy, like my stomach felt really, really good. It felt light. And I think that these are the dishes that I need to stick to if I want to continue with my health journey. So I decided to add 2 potatoes that were in the refrigerator because now I'm on another mission to use up everything that's in the refrigerator and the pantry. I think that when we use what we have, there's definitely less waste. And there's so many people in the world that are hungry, and they're just suffering right now. And so throwing food out or letting the food go to waste is just not an option in this household. And my mom always told us that, growing up, that we should never waste food. So I'm going to use everything that's in the refrigerator and the pantry. We don't usually eat potatoes. There's not a potato family. However, they were in the refrigerator, so I said, you know what, let me just roast a couple and add them to the salad. So I did that. I added potatoes. I added yellow pepper. I added red onion, garlic, and pieces of pumpkin, slices of pumpkin. And the inspiration, the very first time that I made the salad was sweet greens. I saw a picture of someone, I think it was a video of someone eating sweet green salad, and it was kale, it was sweet potatoes, it was a lot of yumminess. So I wanted to make it at home. I don't know, I've never been to the restaurant, so I don't know what salad dressing or whatever they use, but I heard that is very, very delicious. I didn't have sweet potatoes, so that's why I used the pumpkin. And it, when you roast a pumpkin, it becomes sweet anyway. It caramelizes, so that gave it the sweet touch that I needed. Ever since I discovered kale, I've been obsessed with it. I like it better than lettuce, although lettuce has no nutritional value. So I'm not a fan of lettuce anyway. I'd rather have a salad with spinach and kale. Kale is more like a meaty cruciferous vegetable, so it's very filling and it's really good for you. The only thing is that I cannot eat it so much because of my thyroid condition. My physician suggested that I don't eat it as much. So there are certain things that I can't consume a lot, and that's one of them. So when I do make a dish or a side dish with kale or a salad with kale, I really, really make sure that I eat lots of it because I don't eat it often, and I prepare it well. So let me tell you about this piece of pumpkin. This piece of pumpkin was so hard. But what's interesting is that when you cut it, when it's raw, it's very thick and it's very hard to cut. Or maybe it was just my knife that was dull. But when you cook it, it cooks really, really fast. And it gets very, very tender. And even the skin, I don't know in your household, but I know that we grew up eating the skin. But don't worry, I washed it well. I used my potato scrubber, so it did the work. What I was going to say is that growing up, my mom always encouraged us to eat salads, and vegetables. She loves vegetables and fresh salads. But I didn't quite enjoy it as much as she did, but she always encouraged it nonetheless. And I find that as I've gotten older, maybe for health reasons or maybe because of the way that I'm more conscious about how food makes me feel, I enjoy it more. So I'm pretty sure that my mom loves to hear that. I eat more veggies and try to stay as healthy as possible now. When I roast vegetables, I add everything. Olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, you name it, I put it in in the mix. However, because I was making this also for my family, I wanted to keep it nice and simple. So all I added was olive oil, salt, and pepper, and I just mixed it with my tongs. Usually I like to, just get my hands dirty, go in there and start mixing with my hands and, make sure that everything is covered. However, today, for some reason, I just didn't feel like, getting oil on my hands. So I just used a tongue, and I didn't have any gloves that I could have used to mix the vegetables. But, they were well covered. Now I'm going to distribute them evenly on this sheet pan. And a lot of people ask me, what's interesting? A lot of people ask me why I crinkle. No, not baking my parchment paper. And the reason why I do it is for two reasons. One is because I find that the foods, it's easier for it to stay for some reason. And also, I think it just looks pretty. Maybe just, for the aesthetics. But more importantly is because the food, I just find that it sticks to the baking dish or the baking pan when it's crinkled. And I decided to put the pumpkin slices on a separate baking dish because it takes longer to cook because it was so hard. Like I said, it was very, very hard. And the rest of the vegetables went on that original sheet that I had prepared. Also, for my salad, I wanted to roast some chickpeas. So I took about, I want to say, a third of a can. And I washed them well. I dried them with a paper towel. And I put them on the pan with no oil or anything. And I added some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some paprika. And I just tossed them around until they were all evenly coated and they were nice and hot. And as you can see, they start popping. I don't know what it is, but they start popping. They start moving around and stuff. And they're done. So now I'm going to prepare my pumpkin soup. Because the day was so cold and it was gloomy, I thought that this was the perfect pair for my salad. So these are the ingredients that I used. I used the other portion of the pumpkin that I had in the refrigerator, and that was the last of it. I used tomato paste. I used a third of a red onion. I used 2 celery stalks, and I used cilantro and a couple of spoons of chicken bouillon. And I add that to everything just to give it flavor. And when I tell you that this soup was off the chain, it was so good that I'm gonna do it again. I mean, we have enough for today and tomorrow, but I'm definitely gonna do it again. Let me know in the comment section, what is your favorite soup when you find that the weather is cold and gloomy? Or, just because you grew up with a special soup that your mom made and it reminds you of your childhood. Looking at this footage, it reminds me when, as I was growing up, I remember there was always caldo, as we call it in Guatemala, right? In the house. My mom grew up on caldo, and so she made it all the time. And I remember not liking onions and not liking celery and all the fresh vegetables that she would add to the soup. Well, in English is soup, right? But as I gotten older and I've gotten more experience in cooking and experimenting with different recipes, I realized that that's the stuff that makes it flavorful. And not just flavor, but it also adds vitamins and minerals that the body needs. And so, I definitely understand why, people in our countries, when they cook with fresh vegetables, that's why they're so healthy, And so I made it my mission to always incorporate fruits and vegetables to almost every meal that I consume, so that I can also stay strong and keep my immune system healthy. And aside from all of that, if you can smell my kitchen, oh my goodness, it smells so good. Here I'm just adding the pumpkin and the vegetables to the Ninja blender. I'm not going to blend everything because I want it a little bit thicker, and so I'm going to use the emulsion blender. So I just want to do maybe half of it, or maybe less than half, and you'll see how it comes out. What I didn't do was I didn't remove the celery, I didn't remove the cilantro, and I didn't remove the skin of the pumpkin. So later on you will see that changed the color of the soup. However, it gave it this beautiful color, and I don't regret it because it gave it an amazing taste as well. It's all done, and look at that beautiful color. Now I'm putting it back on the stove and heating it up some more. The veggies were done, and now it's time to plate the salad and serve the soup. I mean, does this not look amazing? I added kale, obviously the base, the pumpkin slices, I added the yellow bell peppers, I added the chickpeas, I added quinoa with brown rice, and to the soup I added some walnuts. I didn't add cream like people usually add cream, but I chose not to. And to the salad I also added red beets that I cooked myself and quartered. It was amazing, it was delicious. I was so satisfied. And as you can see, I devoured the salad once again. It was so good. And then much later in the evening, I wanted to drink something warm, but I didn't want coffee. And if you notice, I didn't have coffee for breakfast either, but I wanted something warm. So I made a tea. The flavor is anise, and I used my brand new heart-shaped cup. I also wanted something sweet, so I remember I had these shortbread cookies that I picked up in Marshall's a few weeks ago. I had them in the pantry, and to make my tea a little gourmet, I added some frothy almond milk and some cinnamon on top, and it was so good. So thanks for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.